Hello, this is Compound Interest Stock Guy, and today we're going to be talking about companies that are going to be extremely profitable. This is my research that I've done, so stay tuned. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the bell notification down below so you're notified when I upload a video, and I appreciate it. Please give me a thumbs up if you like this video and you find this information extremely valuable. I appreciate it. I also want to thank all the subscribers that have subscribed. It helps my channel grow. It's been pretty cool seeing some new people joined. I'm happy to see you guys here. So I also want to disclose I'm not a financial advisor. This is just for entertainment information purposes. Do not buy or sell a stock based on anything I talk about. Buy or sell after you did your research and your due diligence and you like the investment you're pursuing. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's Friday afternoon, and I just wanted to talk about these companies. So let's get into this. So the first company, and before I talk about this, I also want to think it's kind of interesting. Companies such as VFF that I'm going to get into and CVSI. Those are companies that Citron Research, Andrew Left, he's been really excited to short them, yet those companies are both profitable. So when you got companies such as Canopy and Aurora and some others that are losing a lot of money every quarter, yet he's really fast to have these articles. It makes you wonder. So next time when you hear of Andrew Left shorting a company, maybe do some more research into what their profit margins are and look into the fact that that company might have extreme potential to be more profitable than some of the big names. So just something to think about. So VFF did 16 cents EPS this last quarter on around 30 to 35 million USD, and they're doing about 75 to 80% margins on their cannabis sales, which is amazing. So they did only 5 million or somewhere around 5.5 million in sales in cannabis, but it was such a high profit margin because they just have some really nice efficiencies in the business that some of these other companies, such as Canopy and Kronos, don't have, so they're not able to be profitable. So I don't know, it's just something to think about. And their net income based on a times by 4 quarters is 30 million per year. So that's pretty nice. Now, if they do more hemp and they do more cannabis, their net income should be anywhere up to like 60 to 200 million per year. So yeah, there's a lot of big potential for VFF, I think, to be an extremely profitable company, and in the near future, maybe 2 years, they could be giving out somewhere around like 1 or 2% dividend yield because they have so much cash flow coming from their businesses. So as long as they don't expand too much and spend too much money, then if they did do that, then they wouldn't be doing this dividend. But I could see it happen to them. MediPharm Labs, I just wanted to pat myself on the back. Yep. Compound, you did it. Basically, they did 22 million this quarter. So I wasn't 100% on the button, but I said in one of the videos where I talk about their future revenues of these companies, I thought that they would do 20 million. So that's pretty close. So yeah, for a YouTuber that doesn't even have 100 subscribers, I think I have a vast knowledge about this cannabis space, and some of the shit that comes out of my mouth, people should really pay attention to. I'm not saying I know everything, and there's a lot of other people that know a lot of stuff, but yeah, I think I'm pretty wise on some of these things. So Labs was off by 2 million. Well, what I just said, anyways, but their margins are 30%, and the margins from last quarter were higher. So that's showing that the margins aren't going to stay the same in the extraction. But that could also change actually, because if they start doing edibles or more shatter and other types of stuff, there might be like some really high margins for that. So it can change their margins even higher. But I know for just like dealing with just oils, they're not going to get the same amount of margins just because there's going to be other companies that are getting into the space, and it is just going to be more competitive. But for the upcoming future, and if they do EU GMP stuff, their margins will be higher. But as far as just Canadian oils, it there's price compression. Uh, OGI, they're not, and the same with Labs. Labs did a loss, so they're EBITDA positive, but they're still doing a loss. But in the future, if say they're doing like 40, 50, 60 million dollars in revenue, I think that they can pull out a profit of maybe like $2 to $5 million per quarter potentially, so that they could have a decent EPS. So yeah, and they could have a really nice net income for the year of like 30 to 40 million. So, and just like use that, and but at the same time, if they expand into other countries, that will negate what I'm saying. But in the future, they could be a very profitable company when they stop expanding, and they're just running a really efficient company. And OGI, their gross margin was 30%, but they took a loss of 6.3 million. So now if OGI starts doing, say they did 26 million, say they start doing like 75 million per quarter, they might be able to pull off like 5 or 10 million in net income per quarter. So that would be around 20 to 40 million. So something to think about. I think it's pretty tight the way that they're running their business, but at the same time, they're never going to be as big as Aurora or Canopy. So this is different metrics when you're analyzing these companies that I'm going through. These are the companies that I think that can be profitable a lot quicker. So Canopy and Aurora, they want to capture the growth of this space. So they're aggressive as fuck, and that basically they want to have the market share, and then as soon as they have the market share, then they'll work on having efficient and being more profitable. But it's like Apple or whatever, like they're just constantly trying to grow, and Apple didn't get there by thinking about profit margins when they were only making say like 5 or 10 million per quarter. They got into that probably like a long time after that, when they started making in the billions per quarter and up to like 5 or 10 billion per quarter. That's when they were able to make profit. So something to think about. And TRST was 16.2 million last quarter, and I think that their margins they're around 35%. So if say they're able to do around 60 to 70 million per quarter, then they should be able to get around like 5 or 10 million or maybe 15 million net income, and they will be able to do that with their outdoor grow. Now if they really excel with that, and they have some edibles and some other ways to really make some nice products and do like 70 or 80 million per quarter at the end of the year, and get up to like $400 or $500 million per year in sales, they should be able to maybe do like net income anywhere from like 30 to 80 million. So I don't know. It'll help them being profitable, but again, they're just expanding, so it could negate that as well. But I don't know. They're a company that I think will have a great chance of being profitable in the next 2 or 3 years, I think. And Meta was 16.2 million, and basically they did 8,000 loss. Just a second. Yeah, I got enough battery. Never mind. But basically, they did around 33% margins, and they lost 5.6 million. But now, if they get into all the edibles in the summer, well, or the fall, and then they're having higher revenues, and they're not expanding so much because a lot of their money's spent to construct new stores, and then but as soon as they're running, they should be able to if they start doing, say, around like 200, 400, 500 million per year, they might be able to, in the first, like, when they get to those levels, they might be able to do like 5 to 10 million in net income, and that's counting all the expenses that they're doing with the expansion. But as soon as it's like everything's built out, they should be able to get around like maybe 40 or 50 million in net income if they run a tight ship. But there's question marks in that, but at the same time, I still think they have a good chance, and I think High Tide has a great chance as well. They did 5 million in losses, and they did only 5 million in sales. But I think if they're able to get up to like 20, 30 million per quarter, like they're constantly having more stores, so they should be having more stores come into BC and Ontario, and like Alberta as well. But basically, and they also could get into USA. Like they're on the HMUS ETF, so they could get into USA and be very profitable because they don't have the bottlenecks of the government getting involved with being a middleman. So I don't know, it could help them out with their sales, but we'll see. I own some shares of them, and Planet 13 has a great profit margin. So they do 18.3 million in sales, and basically their net loss was 4 million, but they're only working inside of about 15% of the building, and like the net loss has to do with the expansion. So as soon as they're doing maybe like 40, 50, 60 million per quarter, and they're not expanding in other places at that facility, I think they could get up to around like 30, 40, 50 million. And as soon as that's complete, they should be able to make around at least 5 to 10 million per quarter in cash flow net income. So that's be good for them. 5 to 10 million, like 20 to 40 for the year. And yeah, it's a nice PE ratio for where they're at right now. I haven't done the exact math, but it does look very attractive. IIPR is a great company for being profitable. They have a 1.3 trailing EPS, so that's very impressive, and that's why their share price is like 80 or 90 bucks. So I don't know. I guess people think that they're going to continually improve their EPS, and maybe they're going to get up to like $3 or $4 EPS. So then people are thinking like, oh yeah, it should be like a $200 stock. So I don't know. I guess that's something to think about for myself because I'm just getting into the options. So if I see them, if they look attractive on a pullback, that maybe I should buy some short-term option calls on IIPR, a little bit out of the money. But yeah, GRWG I just bought some shares from because I found out that they did an awesome quarter, and they did 13.08 in million in revenues, and their net income is $349,511. So that's good. They're cash flow positive, and their market cap's around 90 million. So if they start doing like 20, 30 million, then their EPS is just going to go up. So I mean, whether they're doing, I don't know, like maybe a million, because there's only a million per quarter. If they did like say 4 million per year, that would be like 14 cents EPS. So the share price is around like $3. So for a PE, if you're thinking PE, like in other areas, it can be anywhere from like 10 to 300. Like Amazon's been as high as like 300 or something. So I mean, if they're growing really fast like they did this last quarter, I think GRWG is a company people should look into because they have a tight float. I didn't buy that many shares, but I thought it was a good buy. I mean, I bought it like higher the day. I bought it at 295 and it went to like 325, and there wasn't enough profit for me with the commissions to say like, oh, I'm gonna sell. I'd want to get $4 or $5 per share, but I don't know. It could go to like 10 or it could go to $20. I think they're a good ancillary company. Now, if they come into Canada or other countries, or maybe they merge with Kush Bottles, or who knows. But I think they're a very attractive company for the market cap. So especially for the revenues, like 13 million, and you times that by 4, that's 52 million. So they're like at about a price to sales, and then you got companies such as like Kronos, that's like 300 or 400. I mean, it depends on the day rate. Its share price goes up and it goes down. But yeah. CVSI, they did 10 million in net income for the year, so that's very impressive. I think it's like about a 10 cent, somewhere around 10 cent EPS, because I think they have somewhere around 100 million shares. I think if they get onto the Nasdaq, I think I definitely do call options on CVSI. I just don't want to buy this stock yet because I just think they're going to be kept down until they get onto the Nasdaq, or if they were to go onto the CSE. Now, if they were to go on the CSE as well, then I would absolutely think about buying them. But because they're only on the OTC, the market just doesn't really care for them. So it's the same as Kush Bottles. Like I own 100 shares of Kush Bottles, but basically it's probably not going to go up until they do insane revenues, somewhere around like 50, 60 million per quarter, or as well as like have some net income EPS, or they get onto the Nasdaq. So those are the things, or they have like a big partnership with Canopy or some other thing like that, where like a humongous deal where it's like 150 million deal with Canopy and Aurora or something like that, when then people are like, oh my god, this company is going to go to the roof. So I don't know. And True Leaf, I was reading some bad press about them. I mean, if you can read into that, I'm not going to get into it, but something to do with like the management. But I have made money with True Leaf. I do like the company. They're a profitable company. They did 24.96 million in net income for the year, and I don't know, that's somewhere around like 25 cents EPS, I believe, if my math's right. I think there's like around 100 million shares, and that's on around like 80 to 90 million in revenues. So to be able to be that profitable on just that amount of revenues is pretty impressive. I like that a lot. Now, say like they were doing like $1 billion, they could have like 200 million in net income. That's pretty good. Or say they get up to like, I don't know. I don't think they're gonna get that long. I think they're gonna get acquired. I don't know. Just a thinking. There's just some weird things going on with USA companies. It's GTI and Kira. They get all the institutional money, and Cresco Labs, and I don't know. Then some of the other companies get neglected, even if they're hella profitable, such as True Leaf. But I don't know. The market makes the choices. I still think True Leaf has a great chance of getting to like $25, $35 in the future in Canadian dollars. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, if they get onto the Nasdaq, if cannabis goes legal, the company would go insane. It could go like 60, 70, $80. But I mean, that's a what if event. Halo Labs, I think, has a great chance of becoming profitable. Their margins are around 25 million, but they did a net loss of 2.98 million. I think that basically, if they're gonna get up, they're gonna do hemp CBD and they're gonna do their cannabis operations. Now, if they do somewhere around like 20 million or 30 million in sales, I think that they could be cash flow positive, maybe like 3 to 5 million, and like 12 to 20 million for the year. So that'd be pretty impressive. Yeah, I think they have a good future, but I mean it's tough. For my friend Scott Sycamore, he went to their facility. What he's saying is, with these labs in Canada, they run the show as far as extraction player, but Halo Labs, they can only work in a state, so they can't work in like all different states. They have to set up shop in other states, so it's a tougher journey than it is for Canadian extraction companies. So I don't know, something to think about. Um, so these are just honorable mentions. It's basically whale. What I'm saying is, I know people don't really think about them, but basically their facility is so advanced. They have Rockwell Automation, which is a $20 billion company. So the amount of automation that they have at their facility is going to be so advanced that they can have super cheap cannabis. So I think they're working in Europe, so they got deals in check for Europe. So when they start growing, say like 20,000 per annum, and they sell it, say like around $7 per average, because they're selling it for about $5 in Canada, and then maybe like 9 to 10 or $12 in Europe. I would just say conservative number $7. So I don't know when that's gonna happen. Like when it'll be a yearly basis. It might not be till um, like a year from now, but that facility is pretty insane. So if they start selling for $7 and with operation expenses and everything, there's a chance. I'm not saying for sure. Like I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't fully trust Ben Ward, but at the same time, you can't really bet against Rockwell Automation. I mean, the company's been around for a long time, and they're a big company for automation. I mean, no other company has them. Aurora has like Eastwood Automation or something like that, and like they're not, or Eaton, and Eaton's like a $1 billion company. So if they're 20 times as big in automation, they must have better technology. So I mean, that's why it's hard to bet against them. I own shares in the company, even though I've been burnt a lot from the whole shit that's gone down with them. But at the same time, so if you look at that, like if they were to do $3 per gram in profit, just profit, that's off operation expenses and everything. There's a chance that they could do 60 million in net income per year, and that would, based on their 300 million shares, that would give them an EPS of about 20 cents. So it's pretty good. It's something to think about. I know people don't like Wayland right now, but the facility is hella advanced. So Tilt is when they start doing, because they have a pretty low margin. It's like somewhere 15%, but they're going to be working in dispensaries, so their margins will go up, and basically they should get around to somewhere around like 25 to 30, so maybe like 20 to 30% margins. So that's pretty average for the cannabis growers. in Canada. So say they get to around that, then if they're supposed to do around 400 million for 2019, so when they get to that trailing average of 400 million, uh, I think that they should be able to skim net income. I think somewhere around 10 to 15 million for the year. So based on their, I don't know, it'd be about 3 cents, 3 cents in net income. If it was 10 million, now if it was 50 million, it'd be around 15 cents. So that's something to think about. I think they're gonna, and then in 2020, they're set to do around 800 million. They should be able to do, I think, at least like 30 to 100 million dollars in net income for the year. So that would give them somewhere, I don't know, up to about 33 cents net income for the year. So that's why I think that the stock's going to go a lot higher. And Kush Bottles, their revenues are pretty good. They're around 35 million. I think they're going to get up to about 300 million. Maybe not this year on a trailing basis, but I think maybe 2020. They're going to be a global player, so they're going to be helping out companies around the globe. Companies that are in Canada, but they're setting up shop around the globe. They're probably going to want to be connected with Kush Bottles. I think that they should be able to get their net margins are around 50%. I think they should be able to get somewhere around like $5 to $50 million in net income, and I think an EPS of somewhere like 10 cents for the year. I mean it's not for sure, but I think at the end of 2020 or 2021, I think they'll get to that kind of level. I think for 2019, they should be doing somewhere around like 150, and they could even beat that. They could do 200 million. So I don't know. They could be profitable for the year. Who knows? But there's other companies that might be profitable as well. But there's question marks. Who knows what's gonna happen? Such as like MedMen and Cresco and Curaleaf and some other companies. But these are the companies that came to mind. I talk about the companies that are profitable already, such as IAPR, CVSI, I think CWeb. I forget. But I went through them all, and I hope you learned a lot. Please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe for future content. Hit the bell notification down below so you're notified when I upload a video. And until next time, peace.